Donald Trump is facing another legal showdown today. Jury selection is expected to begin later on this morning in a civil trial involving the former president. Author and former magazine advice columnist Elaine Carroll accuses Trump of raping her in the 1990s. Now, he has denied all allegations. We want to warn you, some of the details in this story are disturbing. Elaine Quijano is at the courthouse for us. Elaine, good morning.
Good morning to you, Anne-Marie. This case centers on a decades-old rape allegation. Now, it's a civil case, so jail time is not one of the possible outcomes. But this lawsuit will put Donald Trump's history with women under renewed scrutiny as the 2024 campaigns get underway. As former President Donald Trump runs for re-election, his attorneys are preparing for another legal battle. Former Elle magazine writer Elaine Carroll alleges Trump raped her in the mid-90s in a New York department store dressing room. She never reported the alleged assault to police and first shared her story with the public in her 2019 autobiography. By then, it was too late for a criminal investigation, but a New York state law allowed Carroll to file a civil lawsuit.
I'm filing this lawsuit not just for myself, but for every woman in America who's been grabbed, groped, harassed, sexually assaulted.
Trump has repeatedly denied the allegations. He called Carroll's claim a hoax and a lie used to promote her book and said, quote, "She's not my type." More than a dozen women have accused Trump of sexual assault or harassment. He denies all the allegations, and none of those claims have gone to trial until today.
None of these cases have ever been able to really find him liable, let alone guilty.
CBS News legal analyst Ricky Kleeman says Carroll could win because of the lower burden of proof in civil cases.
Elaine Carroll, by filing a civil case, only has to satisfy these jurors that it is more likely than not that by a preponderance of the evidence that Donald Trump committed this sexual assault.
If Trump is found liable, he will have to pay damages to Carroll based on the trauma that jurors believe she suffered. Now, in another legal fight, this one in Georgia, we've learned that the Fulton County DA will reveal this summer if Donald Trump or his allies will face criminal charges related to alleged election interference in 2020. Anne-Marie?
So things start off with jury selection. The court system's going to have to dive back into a New York jury pool. They've already had two other Trump-related cases, and they had to try to find people who were not biased. Is there a concern that at this point it's going to be very difficult to find an unbiased jury?
You know, that is perhaps a concern. However, this would not be the first time you've had a high-profile case here in the Southern District of New York. Jury selection, though, is expected to last beyond just today. Legal experts I've spoken with say that they'd be very surprised if jury selection wrapped up today. So it could be a concern. But again, this is a place, as you well know, that has seen some pretty prominent figures come through in pretty high-profile legal cases before.
And, you know, for the people who may be unfamiliar with Elaine Carroll, can you talk to us a little bit about who she is and who she was back then in the 90s?
Yeah, so in the 1990s, if you can imagine the New York sort of social scene, Elaine Carroll was one of those prominent figures, Anne-Marie. She and Donald Trump were among the many sort of media figures, very prominent figures, who would regularly attend various social events. And so it was not uncommon for an Elaine Carroll to run into someone like a Donald Trump in the social circuit scene at various parties throughout New York. But she was a columnist. She was also at the time a TV talk show host. So she would have been very recognizable to other prominent media figures like Donald Trump.
And so, you know, we've had two cases in New York already. There's the Georgia situation. There's a situation with the classified documents. There are a lot of investigations swirling around the former president. Any sort of chance that, you know, these legal challenges will impact each other in any way? Or is this situation with Elaine Carroll sort of very separate from everything else?
From what we understand, and speaking with legal experts, this is its own sort of particular situation involving E. Jean Carroll. As we laid out in the piece, these were allegations that this was an allegation that she made in her autobiography back in 2019. And what we understand is that with respect to this case, we're expecting two witnesses, people who E. Jean Carroll confided in at the time of this alleged assault, who did not see the alleged assault take place, but in whom they were given details by E. Jean Carroll. They're expected to be among the witnesses who are called over the course of this trial. And we should mention that this is the first time out of the other accusations against Donald Trump of sexual misconduct. This is the only time we have seen a case go to trial, so certainly a tremendous amount of interest in what happens with this particular case. You heard in that clip from E. Jean Carroll herself that she was doing this not just for herself, but for other accusers who may be out there.
Right. Elaine, thank you very much.